advocates. 1,000 advocates can make you a millionaire, but that's another training for another day.
You can in the inner circle.
That's right, you can in the inner circle. We do have a dedicated training for this. So what's number one? Somebody tell me, who's paying attention? Ooh, that's actually number 3. Number 1 is ask more people. I probably did. I told you I can't teach you nothing. I'm here to facilitate. Number 1 is ask more people. Did I say often, Rashard? Oh, look, I'm skipping ahead of my own training. So what's number 2? Let's ask the right people. Oh, we got to get a new page. We're going to get this right. I want to make sure this is crystal clear because the only excuse for you not to do it is because you decided not to do it. It's not going to be because it's not clear. So first things first, so we're going to ask. All right, that's number 1. And so we're going to say more people. Okay. We're going to ask the right people. Because, where's Daria? Daria helps women in perimenopausal. There is no scenario where Daria can ever help me. I love you. But I'm not going to go through menopause. So a lot of you are upset at your family and friends for not supporting your business. They're not the right people. That's not their fault. It's your fault for wasting your breath talking to the wrong people. So after we ask more people, we're going to start to realize, okay, those 500 people, yeah, some good ones, some bad ones, some okay ones. I would rather talk to 100 right people than 500 just random people. And this is what's so important about what we do in generating leads for your businesses is we help you find the right people. You can open a phone book and just call people. That's not the point. How do we find the right people? And that's why I love this training because it's so simple. You're like, well, yeah, I guess he's got a point there. Think about it. If I'm a service-based business and I'm talking to clients, but they're not telling me yes, and Bruce comes along and says, hey, I help service-based businesses hear yes more often. How upset are you going to be at Bruce? It's not a trick question. Anyway, they're going to be mad or going to be happy? They're going to be happy. Where have you been? Somebody's waiting for you to ask them so they can tell you yes. Okay, now check this out. Now, we're going to ask them more often. Thank you. See, you guys did great. I told you to hold me accountable, and you did. What's the difference between asking more people and asking more often? It's very simple. We're asking the right people. We're not going to ask them just once. Because sometimes, I actually talked to someone today. She's like, Bruce, payday's Friday. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask her on Friday. Some of you get so disappointed that they told you no. I'm never doing that again. I'm going back to work. Don't give up. What did I say yesterday, right? Are we doing the right things long enough for them to work? So is it not working or is it not working yet? Sometimes it's just bad timing. Taria just told you it takes 7, 8, 9 times before people are like, you know what? Let me go ahead and take action. Sometimes we don't give people enough time to change their minds about whether or not they want to keep their problems. So what I like to do, I honestly recommend daily, but at least once a week. At least once a week. It needs to be way more than that. But at least once a week, you should be reaching out to every phone number and email that you have that's your right people and reminding them of the problem you solve. And put a call to action at the bottom. And what happens is, you ask them, hey, how's that headache? You're like, it's not that bad. You're like, hey, how's your headache? You're like, it's not that bad. And you say, hey, how's your headache? And you're like, you know what? I'm tired of this headache. Let me get the aspirin. How much was it? Some of you all ask once, and you never ask them again, and they forget that you ever asked them. Some of you took that no so personally, you didn't realize they aren't telling you no. They just didn't need that solution right now. Sometimes it's the right people, but it's the wrong time. So what do we do to fix that? Number 3, we're going to ask more often. Yes, I love it. Okay. Number 4, we're going to ask better questions. We're going to ask better questions. So here's a training within the training. Let me go back. Let me see if I can do this through. There we go. Let me go back to this one right for a moment. I got it. See, she's an expert. That's why she's a coach. I just teach sales. Stay in my zone of genius. I discovered that asking better questions was the second most powerful sales technique that I've ever learned. What's the first one? Excellent. I like it. Now I realized that if I ask more of the right people better questions, I'm going to hear yes more often. So when I became a sales professional, tell me, how do I become a professional? Practice. Because I was selling for a long time. But when I became a sales professional was when I was selling cars. And they said, Bruce, can you train this guy and help him sell more cars? I'm sure. I'll do what I can. It's not my title. Give me extra work, not extra pay. That's fine. And so I'm looking at his numbers and looking at statistics. Stay with me. We'll do a little math. He would do 10 test drives, and he would sell 3 cars. Okay? That's pretty good, 30%. Now, I scratched my head. I looked at my numbers. I would go on 10 test drives, and I would sell 1 car. Now, I don't ask trick questions. I'm an educator. I want to make sure you all get this. Which one of these was the better salesperson? The other guy, right? 10 test drives, 3 cars. And Bruce over here, 10 test drives, 1 car. So that begs the question, why did they ask me to train him? So I looked at the big picture number. I sold 30 cars. He sold 10. I said, now hold on. What Steve said, I'm only good at math when it comes to money. This is what I discovered. He would go on 10 test drives, he would sell 3 cars, and he would just go home. I assume he went home. I couldn't find him. He wasn't in the break room, he wasn't in the bathroom, he disappeared. I would go on 10 test drives, I'd splash my face with water, and I'd go on 10 more test drives. So in a month, I would talk to 1,000 people. I'd go on 300 test drives, and I would sell 30 cars. That's terrible, by the way. I'm going to teach you all how to turn conversations into clients. You ain't got to talk to 1,000 people to get 30 clients, okay? But I didn't know any better. I was still practicing to become a professional, so I didn't know any other strategy than to ask more people. Some of you are where you are today because of what you've been doing yesterday. And it probably wasn't asking more people. Now, in my head, I said, well, wait a minute. If I could talk to 1,000 people, go on 300 test drives, and I could sell 100 cars, what would that look like? And this is when my career changed. I learned to ask better questions. Man, listen, if you don't do anything else, I want to teach you to ask better questions. There's 2 types of questions. There's closed-ended questions. They can be answered with yes or no. Are you hungry? You want something to eat? You say, sure, yes, no. But open-ended questions, they have to be answered with information. What would you like to eat? What is your favorite restaurant? Where do you want to go for dinner? Now I got to think about it. I said, Asking better questions gets better clients. Write that down. Ask better questions, get better clients. Do not ask anyone, do you want to buy my book? That is a terrible question. Because I don't feel like reading. But if I said, hey, listen, if I can help you overcome your problem and achieve the transformation you desperately seek, would you be interested? Well, actually, then you put it like that. Or I can ask it this way, I say, hey, what is the biggest challenge in your business? What's holding you back from the success that you're seeking? What have you tried already? And they'll tell you. I'll say, you know what, Bruce? I took this course, and I got this system, and I did this. And I'll say, well, what happened? They're like, nothing happened. So then I ask them a better question. I say, well, listen, what does success look like for you? And this is a beautiful thing. It's one of my favorite questions. Feel free to use it. What does success look like to you? What does a healthy relationship look like to you? What does being a better leader look like to you? What does an insert the solution you provide here look like for you? And they'll tell you. And this is where introverts love working with me, because then you say, well, I can help you do that. Would you like to work with me? And they'll say, yes. And then you're like, oh my goodness, Bruce was right. Ask better questions, get better clients. Open-ended questions are for information, they're for discovery, and closed-ended questions are for confirmation. Information, confirmation. I get the information from them, and this is why listening is the number one sales skill. Asking better questions is number two, because I ask better questions, I listen to the answer. When we get to the end, I just confirm that I understand this is where you are. Really? Yeah. And do I understand this is where you want to go? They'll say, yeah. And if I can help you get from A to B, does it make sense if we work together? And they're going to say, yeah. And then you collect the payment information. It's almost easy. It's so easy to do, though, it's easy not to do. One of my favorite stories and saddest stories, I had the most shy, most introverted young woman. And she helped people escape their 9 to 5 in 12 months. And her success rate was like 100%. It was a phenomenal program. And it was $1,000 for a year. Hope Daria didn't hear that. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do $5,000 for 6 months. We're going to add more value in less time, and we're going to raise your prices. And she's like, oh, I don't know about that. I said, trust me. Follow these steps, and I'm going to give you these steps when we talk about conversations with clients. And they're going to tell you yes. First call she had, the first client, she followed the steps, said $5,000? Sure, I'll get started. She was eyes wide shocked. And then she never sent them the invoice. This is why I say I can't teach you anything. I can only facilitate your learning. But I promise you, one new skill will change your life unless you get in the way. All right, let's keep going. So number one, we've got to ask, and we're going to make sure they're what type of people? Right people. And then, since they may or may not say yes the first time, what are we going to do? We don't want to ask the wrong people more often. The wrong people is always going to be the wrong time. But if it's the right person, you've qualified them, you're clear on the problem you solved, we're going to give them another chance to say yes. But we're not just going to ask them random questions. I don't care about the weather. I don't care about where you went on vacation. And we'll teach you about conversations. I'm not telling you not to care about the person. We're just not going to ask irrelevant questions. We're going to ask what type of questions? No. Good job. Somebody's paying attention. I like it. Listen. One new skill will change your life. But who said that yesterday? He said it's not books sit on the shelf club. It's book profits club. They cannot buy your book if you never give them the opportunity to tell you yes. There is a group of people that will not ever work with you. And that's okay. We've got something really good. You want to hear the secret? Yeah. What do I tell people that are the wrong people? I ask them for a referral. Now, as you all may have noticed, I haven't cut my hair in probably about 7-8 years. If you try to sell me some razors, I would politely decline. And well, Bruce told me to ask more often, so I'm going to ask him again. No. I'm not the right person. So what you do is you say, hey, Bruce, I have an amazing line of razors. They're self-sharpening. They're black-owned. they're eco-friendly, but I see you probably don't need any razors. Write this down. Who do you know that has the problem I solve? Bruce, who do you know that does use razors on a daily basis? Then I'll tell them, well, it's funny you ask. My best friend, poor kid, he's been bald since high school. Let me grab some of your razors. I'm going to give them to him. Or I'll give you his number, you talk to him. And what's fascinating to me, one of my favorite people hasn't spent $1 with me. But that gentleman has sent me more business than everyone put together in the last 3 months. I got to get him something for Christmas. Why? He didn't need what I offered, so I asked him for a referral. Do not take no's personally. Ask yourself, is this the right person, and is this the right time? So if it's the right person, wrong time, what do we do? We're going to ask them later. Hey, listen, I understand that you're not ready to move forward. When does it make sense to continue this conversation? They'll say, well, get back to me in a month. What happens to your life and business over this next month? That's a better question. I don't teach you to convince anyone. We do not convince anyone. We're going to ask better questions to make sure they're the right person. And then we're going to ask if it's the right time. So I'm going to ask them, what happens to your life and business over this next month that we're waiting until we speak again? Are you prepared to keep the problems you have for another 30 days? I know that one hurt, didn't it? Are you prepared to keep the problems you have for another 30 days? You see why I'm here? I want you all to hear yes more often. And it's going to take a little bit of discomfort on your end in order to create transformation on their end. So my question to you all, my author all-stars, is are you going to selfishly avoid asking and withhold the transformation that your clients are looking for? If you follow these 5 steps, I'm confident you'll hear yes more often. Can we check that one off? Yes. All right, what about better questions? Yes. Let me tell you about the 3 C's. C number 1 is clear. C number 2 is concise. C number 3 is compelling. One thing you'll learn about me if you work with me as you listen to me, I love alliterations. You'll hear a few more. Clear, concise, and compelling. It should be clear who you serve and what problem you solve. So if I tell you, hey, I'm Bruce Hill, New Skills for You, I support service-based businesses in sales and leadership to help them hear yes more often. Guess who's a service-based business? Authors. And what's so important about what I teach is because we have to make real the intangible. We have to make real the intangible because they cannot touch the transformation. That's where we have to be clear, concise, and compelling. I should never tell you what I do, and then you'll be like, so what do you do? That means it's not clear. It should be so simple and easy to understand, I can tell it to the wrong person, they get it, and they're like, oh, that sounds like my friend Nishika here. And they can point me to the right person. Now they're a referral partner. It should be so clear, 5-year-old, 50-year-old, or 500-year-old, they get it. If people are asking you, what does that mean, or they're asking for clarification, it's not clear. So the first thing we need to do is be clear. Stevie taught us, one audience, one solution. Number 2 is concise. Some of y'all need to get to the point. Because when it's concise, that means it's easy to remember. And I need them to remember it so they can go tell other people. So now it's clear, and it's concise, and check this out, if it's not concise, it's probably not clear. But don't get too clever. Don't get too fancy that is so concise that it's not clear. Some people, Okay? Keep it simple. So now we're clear and concise. And here's the phenomenal part of this combination. When you're clear and concise to the right person, it becomes compelling. I had a good friend of mine, and we got a call Monday. She's like, Bruce, I had 13 sales calls. I said, that's great. How much money did you make? She said, 0. So I said, well, if I can help you hear yes more often, what would that look like for you? She was like, well, it's 13. That's almost $60,000 in revenue. How much convincing do you think that took for me to book that call? When it's clear and concise to the right person, it becomes compelling. So I never will teach you to convince anyone. Shout out to my introverts. I don't want you arguing with people back and forth on the phone. We're going to be clear and concise. It's going to be compelling to the right people. We're going to give them opportunity to tell us yes, because we're going to ask for the business. The first training I ever did was absolutely awful. The camera was bad, the audio was worse. It was called Ask for the Money. And I was doing some research, and I realized that women are underpaid, and there's some systematic issues to that. I'm not going to ignore that. But the number one thing they could do about it was just ask for an increase. And they found that the number one thing that white males did, that black women didn't do, was just ask. So I'm not telling you to go through any sales training. Again, no books, no podcasts, no boot camps. Just ask. Give them an opportunity to tell you yes. There's someone that wants to tell you yes. You haven't asked them. No convincing. I can teach you to convince people, but why? There's someone who wants to tell you yes. So we're going to be clear, concise, and compelling, and we're going to hear yes more often. Can I check this one off? Yeah. I added this one, value versus cost. Write this down. Value is what you get. Cost is what you pay. Value is what you get. Cost is what you pay. No one buys aspirin because they're white tablets, because they're flavorful, because they're 0.02 grams. They buy aspirin because they have a headache. Some of you all are trying to sell your book based on the number of pages in your book and not the transformation that's in your book. When you focus on the value and you communicate it clearly, concise, and compelling, you don't have to convince them to take the next step. You just have to give them the opportunity to tell you yes. When you focus on the value, there's no cost too great. It's only a matter of how, not how much. Some of you are worried about charging too much, and you don't understand the consequences if you don't charge them at all. I promise you, you can help a lot more people when you are rich than when you are poor. That's right. I told you dream big, start small. That doesn't mean wait until you're rich to start serving. But I promise you it's a lot easier to help other people when you're not struggling for help yourself. It's so much easier for me to help one client in a big way than struggling. I got to work my 9 to 5. I got to do Uber and DoorDash, and then I'm going to help these people for free because I want to add value. How many more people could I help if I was overpaid and underworked? One new skill will change your life. And once you have leveled up, you can go add that value back to the people you want to serve. The things I used to charge for are now part of